Well, here we are, and I must say, my expectations have been exceeded. I picked this car up from the tuners yesterday. Not without its issues. I mean, I was incredibly nervous. I've never had a car tuned before, and I've never really dealt with, you know, building a BARRA or a major engine swap like this, which required a tune. But all went pretty well. I dropped it off first thing in the morning. I had a full tank of E85 in there. Still had the original injectors, so I couldn't actually drive it down there or anything like that. It got towed about 11:30 a.m. I got a phone call from the tuner saying that the new Raceworks 1150cc injectors are in, and that's all good. However, he connected a scan tool up to it, and there was an issue with the VCT solenoids. I don't actually quite remember what he was saying, whether there was no signal or they were just not active for one reason or another, and asked if diagnose it and fix it. And I said, well, we've come this far anyway. It's a BARRA. I want the VCT to work. You know, it's not like there's aftermarket cams or anything like that, which you can delete the VCT if I recall correctly, but you've got aftermarket cams. So I said, yep, diagnose it, fix it. He assured me that more often than not a wiring issue, which sort of worried me a bit. The wiring did have a couple of bits where the tape that was surrounding the loom tape was sort of nicked here and there, but anyway, so I left him to it. Got a phone call about 2 p.m, 3 p.m. I answered it and I was like, hang on. Oh. I answered it and I was like, you're making me nervous now. And they said, no, and you're all good. Your car's ready to be picked up. So yeah, all it was one of the VCT solenoids was actually faulty. So he swapped it out with another second-hand one, ran it up on a dyno, and look, to be honest, as far as power goes, I was expecting 280, 290, maybe 300, considering some of the XR6s with similar mods. That's what they were getting. But no, at 16 to 17 PSI, 348 kilowatts at the rear wheels. And I'll tell you what, like, it's insane. It's insane for me. I've never really had a powerful car. So, yeah, he assures me that the gearbox, he's seen figures up to 400 kilowatts at the rears. But, you know, it depends on how you drive the gearbox is how long it'll last. But other than that, it goes well, and in a way I'm sort of surprised that I was able to take a wrecker engine, a second-hand engine that was been sitting around at someone's garage for so long, do a few little mods to it and slap it in, and all is good. So yeah, 348 kilowatt on a 5-speed BA. And I'll tell you what, it actually feels really good. Upon driving, it actually drives pretty well. The only issues that I can feel and hear is the bushings and the rear cradle. They're all shot, so it's bouncing around, that sort of stuff. The exhaust sounds pretty good. The X-Force 4-inch dump to 3-inch all the way through actually sounds pretty good. And it makes this sort of unusual, like, scream when you give it a boot. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's the wastegate opening, or kind of, yeah, it sounds a bit menacing. man, does she go so well. Going through the Facebook page of the tuner here in SA that I used, I was going through the pages, and he puts photos up and dyno sheets for all of his customers' cars. A lot of the common issues as far as peak power was the intake temps, and one of the ways that, you know, to get better intake temps, as requested by the tuner, is turbo side air intakes. This, I wasn't expecting big numbers anyway, but I've got the original crossover with this. I've got a Monza intercooler which uses the factory location, but the only difference in air intake is the growler intake system that's on here. And even the tuner, when he rang me, he was just like, yeah, I'm pretty surprised that, you know, you're getting some pretty good intake temps. And it was a 30-something degree day yesterday, so all in all, I have no complaints. It's exactly what I wanted. It's the power level I was looking for, actually more than what I was expecting, and it just feels so good. So I think this car is definitely a keeper. I was unsure what I was going to do with it after I'd swapped the engine over and got it tuned. But to be honest, for the price I paid and the money I put into it, I'm under 8 grand. Yeah, completely under 8 grand. That's purchasing the car broken. That's a pretty good condition gas motor. It wasn't until I started to pull this car apart that I saw that the actual turbo was faulty. So I had to go get another second-hand turbo. So I got a GT35R, GT3582R with a Turbo Smart actuator already on there. Gaskets, reused valve springs, injectors, fuel pump, wiring, new clutch, 8 grand, XR6 Turbo, all tuned, E85, 348 kilowatts, rear wheel, which equates to about 460 horsepower at the rear wheel. Manual, K-Han unit here with the torque app showing me all my vitals. Can't go wrong. So how am I going to look after the T5? How am I going to look after the 5-speed box? Well, from my research, don't drift it. This is not a track car or anything like that. I won't be taking it to any of those events. I mean, she's got 880 Newton meters of torque or so. I'll show an image of the dyno sheet after, but yeah, 880 something Newton meters of torque. So I guess really torquey third gear pulls probably should avoid, but I'm just happy to give it a squirt every now and then. Oh, you can hear those bushes. Might be a job in Panga's shed later on. I know the previous owner is a good friend of mine, and the previous owner to that, who's had it for many years before, he used to hammer this thing. So he's replaced a lot of things in its time, but he's never had to replace the gearbox. So it might be one of those unicorn T5s which just loves it. So, but who knows? I'll treat it with respect. Don't beat on it too hard, and hopefully it looks after me. The thing is though, T56s, which I'd love to get, or even a TR6060, big money, and they're hard to find. You find LS T56s, you find V8 versions, just the 6s, they just get snapped up like that. The dose is so nice, so tasty. And like I said, there's not even a a turbo side intake or a dose pipe, just a growler. I mean, some people might not think 300 rear wheel kilowatts is much, but for me, manual as well, it's a whole lot of fun. Oh. I've got so much engine sympathy. I've always had. I can't redline. I can't really give the engine shit because I wince at the thought of it. I wince at the thought of it getting hurt, and I wasn't there when it got dyno tuned. You know, I was at work, but there's no doubt this thing would have been sort of wrung off its neck, so it should be fine. But yeah, as I said, I'm just really really sympathetic to the engine, and I think then that last pull, it only maxed out about 10 psi. Oh. I rarely show emotion, and it's probably the best you're going to get, but believe me when I say I feel so accomplished. I've thrown a 5-litre V8 in a Tirana hatchback and I got that running. Haven't driven it because that's not finished. Different story. That's a whole new story. I've replaced a 4-cylinder from a Tirana with a 6-cylinder red motor. Got that running and registered, that's fine. But this, like, having never really... I've had BARRAs before, had a Territory once. I've had an XR6 Ute, just a standard non-turbo one before. I never did anything but service it. I've also had the BARRA modular V8 in a Fairmont gear. Once again, I had that thing for 4 years and I didn't even change the plugs because of how hard they were to work on. But to get a genuine XR6 turbo with a blown motor and just get stuck in, just go to town. 3 months, 4 months maybe? From go to woe, and here we are, having fun. So good. Thanks for coming on this ride with me. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers. See ya.